Hello there feline friends, and welcome to this video which myself and Cobweb here are very excited to share with you today. And this video is about a goddess that I love, and I'm surprised that I haven't got round to making this video before. I think with all goddess videos I get a bit perfectionist about it and then kind of put it off forever. So today I'm just going to jump in there and do this video about the cosmic purr of the goddess Bast, or Bastet, or Past. She has many names, though I think Bast is the most accepted and common term for her name. So if we can see clearly on my right arm here, I have a tattoo of Bast. Well, I have a tattoo of a sacred Egyptian cat and Bast in her feline form. So what I'm going to do in this video is, it's not going to be historical, completely historical, accurate facts kind of documentary about Bast, but I'm going to start off talking a little bit about Bast, where she comes from, what she's like, how she works in Egyptian myth, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about my connection with Bast and how she came to me and how I honour her, and maybe some ideas on how you could as well if you feel so interested. So, Bast, the cat goddess. Bast began as a very long time ago in ancient Egypt, when the lower and the upper kingdoms were separate, as a lioness-headed goddess. So if you see pictures of Bast now, she's often depicted as with a female body, a lithe woman's body with a cat's head, and that is the slightly later depiction of her. She started out, alike to Sekhmet, as a woman with a lioness head, and she started out a lot more ferocious than the domestic cat version of Bast that we know and love today. However, even in her lioness, fiercer headed form, she was still thought of, I think, from general consensus, as a little bit less fierce than Sekhmet. She was both, Sekhmet and Bast are both goddesses of the sun, and the strong Egyptian sun as well is pretty strong. And Bast was maybe thought of more as the healthy sun, the warming sun, rather than the overwhelming sun and the destructive sun that Sekhmet could be thought of. But there'll definitely be another video on Sekhmet, because I love Sekhmet too. So Bast started out as a lioness-headed goddess, and she sometimes still can be depicted as a lioness-headed goddess with that fiercer, more warrior nature. But in this way, she was the Eye of Ra. Ra was her father, though in some stories it's Atum who's her father, the creator god. Just check that's right. Make sure to get my names right. I'm really trying my best. Yeah, creator god Atum was thought of as her father, but Ra is the main god that's thought of as her father, daughter of Ra, Eye of Ra, and in that sense, as a lioness goddess, she fiercely protected Ra and protected the country. And one of the main facts about Bast is that she is a protective goddess, a protectress, and that goes on still today. But it started out with her being quite a fierce lioness goddess. When the lower and the upper kingdoms came together, so formed the new kingdom, a lot of the deities got mixed together a little bit. So you see a lot of deities becoming one or double named. And you might have thought that, you know, with two lioness-headed goddesses, Sekhmet from one kingdom and Bast from the other, that maybe they would merge, but they didn't. And that's a really interesting thing about them, that they are very much separate deities. They're similar in many ways, but very separate at the same time. And it was at around this time that Bast took the form that we know her in today, as a more domestic cat-headed goddess as opposed to a lioness. And this is when she took this form, and in this form took on many more of the attributes that we know her to have. So Bast is a goddess of many things. She's a goddess of sensuality. She's a goddess of passion. In fact, one of her names, Past, is the root meaning of our word passion. So passion really does stem from Bast. which is brilliant, which is awesome. And also she's a goddess of fertility because cats can be very, very fertile. So she was a patron deity to a lot of, or matron deity I should say, to a lot of women who wanted to get pregnant or who were you know, in childbirth, in labour. Yeah, she was a goddess of that cycle of life. But interestingly enough, she is sort of as a mother goddess to a point, but it's not so much. She's more that independent, feisty spirit who helps women along their road, who helps them along that path. She is a love goddess, a lover goddess, and a warrior goddess as well, because she retains her fierce lioness nature. She is a goddess of pleasures, and with the goddess of sensuality, she comes about with being a goddess of perfume and perfume oils as well. And because her name, let me just show you this amazing book, which if you're interested in Bast and Sekhmet, I do recommend you read. Bast and Sekhmet, Eyes of Ra by Storm Constantine and Eloise Conquio. Coquio, sorry, probably pronounced your name wrong, sorry Eloise. But it's a great book, it's been well loved, it's actually falling apart, it's been that well loved. This book has been on the Nile with me, I was sitting on a boat on the Nile reading this book. So it's brilliant, and there's not that much really out there in deep detail about working with Bast and Sekhmet, so it's really a great book. You see the bottom there, this is how you write her name, Bast, in hieroglyphs. And the name Bast has an interesting double meaning, because one meaning of it is devouring one, the devouring one. But because there's a perfume jar in her name, that changes it actually, because the perfume jar isn't in the word devouring one. So I love this sort of double meaning with her name, that yes, she is this you know, I guess on the front of it, a goddess of sensuality and of beautiful perfumes, and but underneath it she retains in her name the idea of being a fierce warrior who can devour. So yes, like a cat, she is beautiful, sensuous, and all those feline, gorgeous things, but underneath it retains that fierceness, which obviously can be needed. So yes, she's also a goddess, quite randomly, of firefighters, like the first patron saint almost of firefighters, matron saint of firefighters, because it was thought that if there was a fire, Papa's not agreeing with this, he says don't do this mummy, if there was a fire, that if the cats went to a fire, or if Bast or cats, the sacred cats were at a fire, they would take the flames out the building. So there are tales in ancient Egypt of when there was a fire, that the temple of Bast with their permanent resident cats would be called upon to go to the fire, and the cats would help take the fire away. Unfortunately, I think there'd probably be quite a lot of injuries to cats by doing that, but apparently it was written that any cat that was injured in this process would have been restored to life by Bast. So that's quite an interesting fact. So Bast is also, with her goddess energy of sensuality and pleasure, and I want to really underwrite those words, sensuality and pleasure, because I really feel like we have a lot of guilt around pleasure, we have a lot of feelings of laziness, and we haven't got time to be sensuous, to take in pleasures for ourselves, not wasting time, not being lazy. I don't mean that, because she's not a goddess of wasting time, not at all, but she's a goddess of really, if you're eating some lovely food, really relish it, really enjoy it. If you're going to have a bath, put some beautiful oils in it. If you're going to have a massage, you know, all these things. If you're going to dance, feel the sway of your hips move. If you're going to sing with joy in your heart. This kind of pleasure. And she is a goddess of dance, and she is a goddess of music. And the sistrum, which you can again see in this statue there, is a instrument, a rattle, specifically attributed to Bast. And in lieu of having a sistrum on my altar that I have a Bast, I've got a little rattle instead. In this is a lovely statue. It's not dusty at all. A lovely statue I have of Bast that I got from Egypt actually, and I've got a fair few statues of Bast. I could always do with more, but I've got a statue of Bast I bought in Egypt, and this is obviously sold and thought of a statue of Bast, but like my tattoo on my arm, this is more her sacred animals, her temple animals. And they've got the protective scarab there on her chest and the Eye of Ra, and yeah, many symbols and the beautiful neck piece and jewellery which represented Bast, or being a sacred cat. So yeah, cats, because of Bast being so popular, she was not only popular because she was the Eye of Ra and a protectress, but not just a protectress of cats, she's a protectress of all. I think that nowadays we think of Bast protecting cats, which she does, but she's a protectress of all. And yes, I've totally lost my cat trail of thought there. Oh yes, that's it. I was looking at the sacred cats to Bast. It was illegal to harm or injure or kill a cat in Egypt at the time of the gods, and I think that should be, you know, totally as it is now. And when a cat died, I think people shaved their eyebrows off. Not everybody. The person that the cat owned shaved their eyebrows off as a sign of respect when the cat died, and many cats, hundreds and thousands of cats, were mummified. So they were given the honourable mummification, which was, you know, safe, so you go to the afterlife. So many mummified cats were found mainly in her temple complex, which was called Bubastis. It's not called that anymore, I don't think. It's got a new name, and the temple, there's not much left of the temple that was there, but there's remains, and I would love to go, because I've been to Egypt but I haven't been to that part of Egypt. And so Bubastis was the main place where she was revered. Other places as well, most definitely, but Bubastis was one of the main places, and a place in Memphis as well, where she was revered. But that was her main temple complex, and in April and May was her festival, and in her festival people, all people, women, children, men as well, but it's particularly a very feminine energy with the goddess here. Particularly women would be on the Nile, on their boats, going on the river to Bubastis, drunk as, celebrating. There'd be a lot of wine involved in Bast's rituals. You can see why I like her a lot. Yeah, so drinking, celebrating, being really wild. Herodotus put, when he was writing about his experience of seeing things in Egypt, that Bast's festivals were the most riotous of all the festivals, and I think that's pretty much saying something. So yeah, it was very sexual. There'd be orgies, there would be drinking around April and May, there'd be feasting. Yeah, there's a wild feline time going on when the festival of Bast was going on, because it was very life affirming. She's a goddess of life. She's a goddess of celebrating this physicality, this being alive, and of course, being a fertility goddess as well. She was one that you would obviously celebrate with in hope of getting pregnant, if that's what you wanted. So there's so many big, beautiful things, but I think people can kind of go, okay, goddess of partying, of fun, of sensuality, and kind of not see the depth of Bast. And there is, like a cat, there's silliness with cats, there's all this kind of behaviour, but there is such a deep, deep wisdom, a psychic connection, a powerful seership, and a knowing, and a nurturing as well. But nurturing you to kind of stand up and, you know, not on your own 2 feet. That I don't really like that saying much. I really like the fact that we can be a community and work together. But she's encouraging you to be strong and be in your own power. I think that's what I'm trying to say, to be sovereign, to be in your own power. But there's a sense of a nurturing with Bast, absolutely. She is originally a goddess of the sun, hence the solar lioness fierceness. And this went on for a long time, that she was thought of as a solar deity. Again, as I said, more of a warm, approachable sun rather than a Sekhmet fierce, I'm going to burn you sun. The life you like you know how cats are in the sun. They're purring, they're happy, they're stretched out, they're like loving it. They're not getting burnt, they go in the shade before we go in the shade, you know, beautiful, gorgeous, sunny cat energy. But when the Greeks came to Egypt, and there was that bizarre in-between period, the end of the real Egyptian empire, and the Greeks came in, Alexander the Great, and took on a lot of Egyptian iconography, and also took on a lot of the Egyptian gods and merged them with their own gods. And Bast was merged with Artemis, who is, again, that kind of wild feminine huntress, lady of animals, so you can see why she was mixed, and lady of witches, and a lady of the moon. So from that point on, Bast took on a lunar aspect, as well as for thousands of years she's had just a solar aspect. And people kind of argue, is she a moon goddess, is she a sun goddess? And I think, you know, okay, originally, if we're going to be down to facts about it, she was a sun goddess, but I really feel her as a lunar goddess too, because you know how cats, they are the mystery of the night as well as the sun. So I feel like actually this is an aspect of her that's been worked with for a while, this lunar aspect, and I think it works. So you've got the beautiful solar aspect, the gorgeous purring in the sun, and then you've got the lunar mysteries, the fertility, pregnancy mysteries of the moon cycle as well. So I think she works, personally, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I think she works really well as a lunar goddess as well as a solar goddess. So yeah, these are some of the factual things about Bast that's known. It's not so much like other mythologies. There's not so many stories of escapades that the gods got up to. I mean, there's definitely some of Sekhmet we can talk about in another video, but they didn't sort of have those stories or like we did. I mean, the Celts have some stories definitely, and the Greek and the Romans have stories very strongly, and so those kind of hero tales almost, there are some for sure, but they're not quite as widespread, and Bast doesn't have many tales that we can dig up about her, yet it doesn't matter because she's one of the most popular goddesses that ever was, and I think she's still pretty popular today. There's one idea that she was the soul of Isis as well, which I think is really lovely. The soul of the goddess Isis, a beautiful magical priestess goddess Isis. So yeah, there's so many different aspects we can look into her. Like a lot of the Egyptian goddesses and gods, they married everywhere. There's different children in different stories depending on what you read. But the general theme is she is the daughter of Ptah. So the wife of Ptah. I was so fixed on saying Ptah right that I got it wrong. Yeah, so she was the wife of Ptah, daughter of Ra. Her children, the most commonly thought of children is a lion-headed god called Mahes. There's not much known about him though. She's also the mother of Nefertum. So Nefertum is the god of ointments and perfumes. So that links in with her name of being the goddess of sensuality and perfumes. I do apologise about pronunciations as well, I really do. And Khonsu is another of her children. Her title is Lady of the East. So she is one of the 4 directions in Egyptian magic, which is called Heka and Egyptian mythology. Sekhmet is also a goddess who goes of the west. You've got Nekbet, who goes of the south, and Wadjet is the goddess of the north. So you have these 4 goddesses who represent these directions. And any more facticals that I can kind of hit you with before I go into my story of how I work with her. I just made some notes just because I'm bad at pronouncing things and I forget facts. But we can always do another video about Bast if I forget anything massive. So what I'm going to do is talk now about how I connect with Bast and how she came into my life as a goddess that I work with so much that I got her tattooed in a beautiful way on my arm. So how Bast connects with me and how Bast is in my life is, well, from the beginning, if you know me or see any of my videos, it might be hard for you to believe this, but until about probably, well, 12 years ago, or maybe 13 years ago, how old am I? I forget. Cats weren't really a part of my life. I grew up in a house of dogs, with a dog, always a dog, and I didn't really have any experience with cats. So people always say you're a cat person or a dog person. I love all animals. I always have been I love all animals, but living with cats as I have for the last 8 years and having this connection with cats that I've had, there's something really special about my bond with cats, and this very, you know, it suits me very, very well, and I love them very, 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 very much, as you might have noticed. So yeah, my probably connection with cats started when my lovely friend Imbal, who you've heard me mention before on tarot videos, and do check out her channel, her YouTube channel, I'll put it in the links below. And yeah, she came to stay with me for a while. I think I was probably about 24, 25 years old. And she came to, so yeah, I'd say my journey with cats started about 10, 11 years ago. And my journey with cats started then. They came to visit me, and it's my first experience of really being with cats for more than a second or two. And at that time, my family dog passed away, and I was really, really, really distraught and upset. And Stella, one of Imbal's cats, just came and sat with me. She came and sat with me, and I was really upset, and she was just there. And it was beautiful, and I really just fell in love with cats from that visit with both of them. I always looked after them when they went away. I was always happy to look after her cats. And then when I got a place of my own where I could move into on my own, and it didn't take long for me to come across 2 kittens of my own, Star and Cobweb, that came into my life. Now, this was about 2008 or 9, I think, when that happened. And soon after, or around about the same time, or just before, I can't quite remember the total details, I also got into belly dancing at that time. Probably just after, I think, I got into belly dancing. And the connection of Bast and belly dancing is huge. The sensuality of the movement, of the joy and the pleasure, and the women's energy. The guys totally belly dance too. I mean, it's for all, but just for my side of things, this is this sense of this beautiful, joyous, sacred dance, which I talk about in my sacred dance video. And this culmination of having the cats come into my life and being the guardian of these 2 gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful beings, and dancing, brought Bast into my life hugely. Now, I was already properly in love with Sekhmet before that. So before I had cats, Sekhmet had come into my life probably very soon after I really got into Wicca and paganism. Sekhmet became a huge, huge, huge influence in my life, and I absolutely adored Sekhmet and was painting Sekhmet. And yes, I haven't got a tattoo of Sekhmet, but that probably will come. I think it will. But Bast came in with this gentle, nurturing, feminine, gorgeous, independent, sensual, passionate energy. And I just felt like when I had my cats that this was, that Bast came into my life, that I was guarding these and I was looking after cats as a whole, and that's how I felt. But she initiated me into cats owning me, and she initiated me into dance and into that really important part of my life. I think dance is such an important part of my life. When I don't do it for a while, I really realise how important it is for me to move and to shake and to move energy around and to be in my feminine, awesome body. So this is when she came in really, really strongly, and hence I got my tattoo of Bast around this time. And I visited Egypt about a year later, and people, the locals are just like, you have a tattoo of an Egyptian cat? They were really confused. Some of them, this one guy came to me, got spat on his finger and rubbed it, thought it was going to come off, and I was just like, stop spitting on your finger and rubbing my arm, and no, it won't come off. But it was, yeah, it was really fascinating to them that I'd got this tattoo. So she came into my life very much like a cat does. She snuck in the back way. She wasn't a ta-da, here I am. It was just, she was there very much in my life. When I was getting tattooed, I was really visualising this, being with her in these temples, in these deserts, going on these adventures and dancing. And both of those, having the cats and getting into dance, were huge initiations for me. And yeah, since then she's been a big part of my life. But again, I guess like all goddesses and all connections you have, there's waves of when it feels more active, more prominent in your life, and waves when they're always there but on the back burner. So what I thought I would do is just give a few hints and tips on how you can work with Bast if you would like to. One thing I forgot to mention is part of the last bit of the video about more factual and how how she is, parts of Bast, is that as a protectress goddess, obviously cats were blooming loved because they would hunt the pests and the vermin that spread diseases. So because cats hunted, and this is really very much well noted in ancient Egypt, that the cats hunted these pests and these animals that spread disease, and they were honoured, like, you're protecting us from these diseases, you're stopping these diseases happening. So this protection comes across not only into her fierce lioness self, but as part of her how cats catch pests, and they were kept and they were loved because they were so loved, like to how they are now. And when obviously Christianity came along, and looking at the West really, and looking at the witch trials, and around this time, because cats were being, like women, were being punished and penalised for being spooky, for being evil, for being witches, because a lot of women connect with cats, and the cat was the main familiar, that's the right word, just lost the word then, familiar of a witch. And because they have this night magic superstition around cats, cats were slaughtered in their thousands and thousands. And this still makes my blood boil, even though it was hundreds and hundreds of years ago and I wasn't around. Well, I probably was around actually. Let's face it, probably was around then. Killed in their thousands, and this is disgusting, barbaric, shitty to the max. I'm sorry for my language, but it's awful. And what happened next? Oh yeah, who was killing the vermin? Oh, no one. Oh, the plague happened. And it's not like saying Bast was like to people, but respect the goddess, don't mess. And it's not rats that carry the plague, it's the fleas on rats that, the lice on rats that carried the plague. But because the cats were killing them and keeping them in check, the vermin levels got out of control. So it's a very real thing, this protection of Bast. That's what I'm saying. It's a very real thing, and the honouring and of cats was very important. So yeah, she came into my life around that time. And I used to live pretty much in the British Museum when I was living in London all the time. There's statues of Bast, but there's many statues of Sekhmet as well. And I was always really connecting with her there. And here's some of the ways I've got a huge painting I've done of her, which is by my altar upstairs. And I have statues of Bast, like you've seen already. So you don't need statues. If you want to honour Bast or any other deity, you don't need statues. I just like them. So don't feel... And you can always make some as well. I did make a Bast statue, but I gave it to someone as a present. And then you've got this one as well I showed you earlier. And I've got a lot of them upstairs as well. So ways of honouring Bast is making a little space for her. To be fair, let's start with the beginning. The first way of honouring Bast is being good to cats. That could be, and always will be, your best way of honouring the goddess Bast and dedicating yourself to her, is being good, is being a champion for them, is guarding them, is protecting them, is, treating them right. That's all you need to do, really. End of video. However, you can do more. You can have a little altar space if you would like. And on my altar space upstairs, I have a huge painting I did of Bast, based on my starler, on my star cat. And Cobweb's waiting for his deity painting. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah. And I made this, and this hangs up by my altar. So I made this necklace. And lovely Laura Bell sent me this gorgeous little pendant of Bast as a present. I think it was a Christmas card present. And then I made this necklace with crystals, with I've used rose quartz. It's all about love with Bast. It's all about beauty and harmony and love. Well, it can be anyway. And then I've represented her nighttime aspects with the blue and the silver, and kind of really, it's not lapis, but it's like me honouring lapis. I don't think it's lapis anyway. I don't think I afforded that much jewels on it. But yeah, a lovely blue pendant, and with that, and I hang this by the altar. And then also by the altar, I have a little pouch of catnip. Catnip sacred to cats, sacred to Bast. I have perfume oils around my altar as well. I wish we had smelly. Cameron, this smells gorgeous, but you can't smell it. But I'm sure you have your own lovely smell. So ointments and perfumes are very special to Bast as well. I have this lovely amethyst crystal I have there. This quartz crystal as well. I also put on this ankh, the symbol of eternal life with Egyptian mythology. And I have a tiger's eye crystal I put on the altar as well. The tiger eye is a feline eye. It's a very solar, fiery energy, bringing confidence. So this is a place where I go to connect with Bast on this altar that I've created, and also to connect with visiting her temple. That's what I call it. I sit at the altar and it's like visiting her temple, and I visualise in my mind what the temple looks like. I've been to Egypt, and if you've not, you've probably seen pictures of Egyptian temples, and visualising that place and visualising yourself going in there and spending some time with Bast, spending some time with her sacred animals. In the temples of the Bastis, there were many, many, many hundreds of residence cats who were sacred cats who lived there in the temple. So you can visualise yourself going into this temple, and if you would like, I can do a Bast meditation. I can put up on here. And you can go to Bast and talk to her, and she's quite a comforting goddess. She really isn't I have a lot of goddesses that I work with which are quite fierce, and even though there's a fierce element to her, it's actually a very nurturing, don't take life too seriously, don't take yourself too seriously kind of vibe with Bast. And just how cats are, really, that she is powerful, but she doesn't take it all too seriously. She will vanish, she will appear, she will surprise you. She's very much, for me, helping me with self-love, self-acceptance as well. She came to me at a time when I was doing the dancing, which has been a really powerful, as I said, initiation into really being a woman and a priestess and comfortable in my own skin, which I don't think I really was before I started dancing, to becoming more comfortable in my own skin. And for that I'm eternally grateful. So ways to honour her: she loves music. So Bast probably will come to those who are interested in dance, interested in music, interested in maybe aromatherapy or oils, and those who definitely, obviously, are interested in cats and love cats. So ways of honouring her: through music, through dance, through oils, through smells, through acts of pleasure, through acts of sensuality, and through acts of being kind to animals. You can call on her to protect yourself, your animals, your home. You know, she's a huge protectress. You can call on her to help you move through fertility issues, maybe, if you're looking for wanting to start a family. She is the goddess of families, of love and of joy. And she is a goddess who is a goddess of love, but I kind of don't see her so much as a goddess of being in a couple love. She's more of the individual, or working with your own passions, your own sensualities, your own. She's quite independent, obviously, as cats are. You know, the cobwebs all cuddled up next to me, and they are close to you, but there's an independence. So she kind of works, I've found, on that side. Not saying she's anti-relationships at all, quite the opposite. She loves it. But I just feel like I work with her more on finding my own way in my own sensual life path. And you can see today, I have some lovely glittery makeup on. Bast is around me a lot at the moment, and I'm putting a lot more fun play with makeup and with perfumes and with outfits and with hair and all that kind of thing. Which again may seem silly, but it's part of honouring yourself and honouring your path and making that effort for yourself or for anybody else. So that's one area Bast will come in and work with you with, maybe. So I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to say in this video. I know I've made quite a long video about Bast, and I would like to maybe do a meditation with Bast in another video. But the best way I feel to work with her, there's a few things online. As I mentioned, that book is great. Here it is, hiding, here it is. This is a great book about Bast and Sekhmet, and really it's a kind of a manual for magic and myth, and shows you a lot about how to work with her. It's great, and there's things online you can see as well, but I'm the big advocate, as you know, of course doing the reading, of course doing the research, but sitting with her, calling to her, talking to her, sitting in her energy and seeing how she wants to come through to you is a wonderful, powerful and strong way. Just getting on in there and talking to her, calling upon her, you know, She may even help you with your psychic development as well, because the cat is the keeper of mysteries as well. So she's a real multitasking goddess. There's many things she works with. And probably that's one of the reasons why she has been so popular for so very, very long. So enjoy your connection with Bast. Enjoy your connection with cats, with passion, with joy, with dance. To live life in, to relive it in that moment, and to give of yourself, and to give to yourself the gift of passion and of joy. And that doesn't mean when you're having a bad time you can't talk to her. She will listen to you. Oh, she has put up with my moaning. She will listen to you, and she will nurture you through those times as well. But she will encourage you to remember those, to find the joy and the beauty in each moment. So I hope that wasn't rambling on too much. I hope you enjoyed that. If you connect with Bast and maybe you have an altar or an area for her in your house and you would like to share that, I would love to see how you work with her and how you connect with her as well. And thank you so much, feline friends and kittens. I hope you have a gorgeous, glorious day and night. And thank you so much for watching. Lots of love.